He was once at the top of the soccer world. A generational talent, a World Cup champion, the most expensive player in history, the one who was supposed to define an era, to dominate the midfield like no one before. But now, where is he? What happened to the player who had it all? If I told you that a single mistake could erase everything, millions in contracts, global fame, and a legacy built over years, would you believe it? This is the story of a player who went from being the future of soccer to becoming one of its biggest disappointments. A player who had every tool to succeed, but found himself trapped in a downward spiral. From the outside, it seemed like his destiny was already written. But as history has proven time and time again, talent alone is never enough. Paul Pogba's career had the perfect script for greatness. From a young prodigy at Manchester United's academy to a midfield sensation at Juventus, he dazzled the world with his vision, technique, and undeniable confidence. He played the game with flair, a unique mix of power and elegance that made him stand out even among the best. By 2016, he wasn't just good, he was the most expensive soccer player on the planet. A record-breaking €105 million transfer fee sent him back to Manchester United, the club that once let him go for free. It was supposed to be his ultimate comeback, the moment he would cement himself as one of the greats. But something changed. The magic wasn't the same. The pressure, the expectations, the never-ending scrutiny of the English press, it all started to weigh on him. Pogba became a player people loved to criticize. When he played well, it was expected. When he played poorly, it was proof that he was never worth the price tag. And then came the injuries, one after another, forcing him to spend more time on the sidelines than on the pitch. The explosive runs, the pinpoint passes, the creativity that once made him unstoppable, it all started to fade. Was he really the problem? Or was he just caught in a toxic system? Some say Manchester United never built the right team around him. Others argue that Pogba lacked the mentality to push through adversity, that he was too focused on his image, his brand, his off-field distractions. The truth, maybe it's a bit of both. What we do know is that by the time he left United in 2022, he was no longer the same player. But then, there was hope. Juventus welcomed him back, offering him a second chance to revive his career in a place where he once thrived. This was his opportunity to prove the doubters wrong, to remind the world why he was once the most expensive player in history. But fate had other plans. What happened next would not only end his season, it would threaten to end his career entirely. A doping test, a failed result, a suspension, and just like that, the once golden career of Paul Pogba came crashing down. But was it truly his fault? Was he just another victim of soccer's ruthless system? Or did he make the biggest mistake of his life? The truth behind Pogba's downfall is deeper than you think. Stay with us, because what you're about to hear might change everything you thought you knew about this story. Paul Pogba was born to shine. From the moment he first touched a football, there was something extraordinary, something electric about the way he moved, controlled, and dominated the game. Growing up on the gritty streets of Roissy-en-Brie, just outside Paris, Pogba dreamed big, bigger than anyone around him could even imagine. His natural gift was undeniable, and scouts quickly recognized that Pogba wasn't just another promising kid. He was destined for greatness. At only 16, his talent drew the eyes of one of the world's most prestigious football institutions, Manchester United. Pogba stepped onto the legendary grounds of Old Trafford, feeling both excitement and immense pressure. Yet, beneath the surface, hidden from public view, cracks began forming. Manchester offered a dream, but for Pogba, it quickly became a challenging environment filled with frustration and uncertainty. Although talented, he found limited opportunities, warming benches when his feet yearned to dazzle crowds. it became increasingly clear that the ambitious young star needed more. He needed to break free, to find a place that recognized his true potential. Then came Juventus. The move to Turin wasn't simply a transfer, it was Pogba's rebirth. The iconic black and white stripes welcomed him with open arms, instantly feeling like home. Under the Italian skies, Pogba flourished. Juventus fans witnessed his transformation from a gifted prospect to one of the most mesmerizing midfielders in the modern era. His swagger on the pitch was intoxicating. The world watched as Pogba's feet danced effortlessly through defenders, scoring goals that seemed impossible, almost magical. Italy adored him, and soon enough, so did every football enthusiast around the globe. Pogba wasn't merely playing football, he was rewriting its narrative, creating a legend in real time. Journalists praised him, experts admired him, children imitated him. He had become a phenomenon, powerful, skilled, charismatic, an undeniable star. As Juventus soared, collecting titles and trophies, Pogba became the heartbeat of a team that dominated Italy, becoming an international sensation in the process. But beneath the glittering success, unnoticed by nearly everyone, lurked a subtle, sinister detail, a ticking time bomb that no one had yet discovered. A small crack in Pogba's armor was forming, almost invisible, but gradually deepening. What if Pogba had stayed at Juventus? Would everything have been different? The question haunts fans even today. Perhaps, had he remained, his legacy might be untouched, pristine. Maybe the chaos that was about to unravel would never have materialized. Yet fate took him elsewhere, and that small oversight in Turin quietly set the stage for the turbulence ahead. Manchester United came calling again, this time with a deal impossible to refuse. Pogba's return to England wasn't just a transfer, it was history being rewritten, and expectations skyrocketed. This second spell at Manchester United made Pogba the world's most expensive footballer at the time, costing a staggering €105 million. The world watched closely, holding its breath, waiting to see if Pogba would conquer England just as he had Italy. Yet, with great fame and fortune, the pressure intensified exponentially, creating an invisible storm around Pogba. A storm fueled by expectation, media scrutiny, and internal discord. Beneath his flashy hairstyles, confident smiles, and dazzling goals, Pogba silently began to crumble, piece by piece, under the relentless spotlight. His performances at United fluctuated between breathtaking brilliance and bewildering mediocrity. Fans who once cheered wildly soon divided sharply. The British press labeled him an overpaid prima donna, questioning his dedication, criticizing his every move. It wasn't just on the pitch. Off-field tensions brewed intensely. The friction between Pogba and his coach, Jose Mourinho, escalated dramatically. Public disagreements turned ugly, splashed across headlines, amplifying Pogba's struggles. The atmosphere within the dressing room became increasingly toxic. Allies turned into adversaries. Friendships became strained. Pogba found himself isolated, unsure whom to trust, feeling more alone than ever before. His dream returned to Manchester became a personal nightmare, each day more challenging than the last. Support from fans eroded swiftly, replaced by resentment and frustration. Even his staunchest supporters began doubting whether Pogba possessed the mentality of a true champion, questioning his commitment and character. The club he loved, the team he dreamed of leading, became a battleground, eroding his confidence, weakening his resolve. If Manchester United was a nightmare, Pogba was about to discover that the worst was still to come. Suddenly, injuries started plaguing him. Unrelenting, persistent, career-threatening injuries. His once invincible physique betrayed him repeatedly. Minor setbacks transformed into major absences, sidelining Pogba for months. With each injury, whispers of doubt intensified. Critics labeled him fragile, accusing him of laziness and lacking professionalism. The negativity seeped into every aspect of Pogba's life, crushing his morale. United's patience wore thin. Their star signing became a liability rather than an asset. Fans demanded results he couldn't deliver, booing him openly, questioning his worth. In 2022, Pogba finally exited Old Trafford once again, this time not as a celebrated hero, but as a misunderstood outcast, his reputation tarnished. Many debated fiercely. Was Pogba to blame, or did Manchester United fail him? Perhaps both. Yet again, fate guided Pogba back to Italy, back to Juventus. It seemed poetic, a return to the scene of his greatest triumphs. Fans hoped he would rediscover his spark, the magic that once captivated the world. But Pogba himself was apprehensive. Could he really rewind time and reclaim his lost glory? Juventus gambled heavily on Pogba's second coming, believing their prodigal son could restore greatness to a struggling side. But reality soon shattered their hopes. Pogba's injuries resurfaced with brutal vengeance, robbing him of his prime years. Each comeback attempt ended prematurely, heartbreakingly. Fans grew restless. Frustration mounted within Juventus. Pogba felt trapped in a body that refused to cooperate, haunted by past greatness that seemed increasingly unreachable. He watched helplessly as his beloved Juventus slipped further from glory, his reputation tarnished by disappointment. Yet Pogba's true nightmare was still hidden, lurking ominously in the shadows, ready to strike when he least expected. Then came the devastating blow, an incident that would shock the football world and devastate Pogba's career. A routine doping test conducted in 2023 revealed something unimaginable: elevated testosterone levels. The news exploded across global headlines, shaking fans and experts alike. Pogba vehemently denied wrongdoing, claiming innocence, pleading that a mistake must have been made. Yet the evidence seemed damning. Football authorities swiftly suspended him, conducting exhaustive investigations. Juventus, already disillusioned, began distancing themselves. Pogba's world imploded dramatically, his image irreparably damaged. Fans who had worshipped him turned their backs. Speculation soared. Had Pogba willingly cheated to reclaim his lost form? Or was he the victim of sabotage, negligence, or mere misfortune? Debates raged fiercely, polarizing public opinion. Pogba's dazzling career hung precariously in the balance, awaiting judgment that could alter his legacy forever. Months of uncertainty dragged on painfully. In 2024, the verdict arrived: a crushing 4-year ban from professional football. Pogba's denial fell on deaf ears. His protestations were powerless against mounting suspicion and public outrage. Juventus swiftly terminated his lucrative contract, abandoning him at his lowest point. In an instant, Pogba transformed from beloved star to discarded pariah, unwanted, unemployed, and facing financial ruin. The world watched incredulously as the player who once enchanted millions fell spectacularly from grace, stripped of everything he had fought tirelessly to achieve. His journey from the pinnacle of success to rock-bottom humiliation stunned everyone. Yet, amidst devastation, whispers of possible redemption emerged. Rumors surfaced about interest from distant leagues, clubs willing to gamble one last time on Pogba's fading brilliance. Could America's MLS or Saudi Arabia's wealth be Pogba's salvation, offering a stage for an unlikely comeback? Would anyone still dare risk their reputation to resurrect a disgraced star? Or was Pogba destined to vanish into obscurity, another forgotten talent swallowed by football's ruthless shadows? But deep down, Pogba grappled privately with a darker, more daunting question. Did he even have the strength, the will, or the desire left within him to fight back, to reclaim the magic that once defined him? The answers remained uncertain, hidden within Pogba's tormented soul, waiting silently in the darkness. Only true football fans appreciate the raw, untold stories. Show your support. Hit that like button now. And just when it seemed Pogba's story had reached its darkest chapter, the shadows stirred once more, ready to unveil an even more shocking twist. The spotlight blazing down on Paul Pogba upon his blockbuster return to Manchester United in 2016 wasn't just bright, it was blinding. At a jaw-dropping €105 million, he became the world's most expensive footballer, shattering records and sparking an explosion of expectations. The moment Pogba stepped onto Old Trafford's hallowed turf again, the stadium echoed with hope, fans erupting into frenzied cheers. They believed their prodigal son was finally home, destined to restore United's faded glory. The weight of history, glory days long gone, now rested squarely on Pogba's shoulders. The pressure was suffocating, immense. Yet he appeared ready, even eager to carry it. Initially, flashes of brilliance lit up the Premier League. Mesmerizing goals, breathtaking assists, glimpses of magic reminiscent of his Juventus days. But beneath those dazzling highlights lurked inconsistency, shadowy performances that raised questions. The same Pogba, who effortlessly dribbled past defenders, would disappear mid-match, looking distracted, disinterested, disconnected. Critics sharpened their knives, dissecting each misstep, each dropped shoulder, every lackluster performance. Soon, media whispers turned into headlines, branding Pogba as overpriced, arrogant, and a failed investment. The dream was rapidly spiraling into a nightmare. The drama deepened when Jose Mourinho, United's fiery manager, entered the scene. Pogba's flamboyance and Mourinho's rigid discipline collided explosively. What began as subtle tensions escalated into public confrontations, heated exchanges captured on camera, dissected endlessly by pundits hungry for controversy. Mourinho openly questioned Pogba's dedication, commitment, and mental toughness, fueling speculation of locker room turmoil. Manchester's faithful fans watched in horror as their beloved club unraveled from within, polarized into factions. Those who passionately defended Pogba's creative genius, and those who condemned him as a self-absorbed troublemaker undermining the team's harmony. Pogba's performances deteriorated rapidly amidst the chaos, his trademark confidence wavering under relentless criticism. He seemed haunted, burdened by expectations he himself had created, yet struggled mightily to fulfill. The Premier League, unforgiving and relentless, amplified his struggles. Away stadiums became hostile arenas, with crowds jeering his every touch, mocking his misfortunes. Pogba's morale sank, buried beneath waves of negativity and doubt. Was the media unjustly vilifying a misunderstood genius, or had Manchester United disastrously misjudged his true character and ability? The debate raged furiously, dividing opinions, fracturing fan bases, and destabilizing the club from within. But behind closed doors, something far darker was brewing. A hidden fracture was widening between Pogba and his teammates. The locker room, once a sanctuary of brotherhood, descended into a battleground of mistrust. Pogba's flamboyant lifestyle off the pitch, luxury cars, lavish parties, eccentric hairstyles, only intensified scrutiny and resentment from teammates demanding unwavering dedication to the club's struggling cause. Whispers of jealousy and betrayal echoed through corridors, unsettling Pogba, who felt increasingly isolated, misunderstood, trapped in a cycle of criticism and despair. Each match became torture, each performance scrutinized under microscopic detail. Pogba's love for football slowly transformed into dread. The weight of disappointment crushed him daily, visible in his weary eyes, slumped shoulders, and diminishing passion. Fans who once idolized him now openly questioned his commitment, harshly labeling him lazy and overpaid. The tension reached a breaking point. Something had to give. Mourinho's dramatic departure brought momentary relief, a brief reprieve for Pogba, but the damage ran deep. United replaced managers, seeking stability. Yet each new leader brought fresh scrutiny, further doubts, more intense expectations. Pogba's form briefly resurged, sparking hopes of redemption, only to plunge again into deeper uncertainty. Injuries began haunting him relentlessly, further complicating his already fragile reputation. Hamstring tears, ankle injuries. Each setback eroded Pogba's resilience, chipping away at his confidence. The once seemingly invincible athlete now spent weeks sidelined, watching helplessly as younger, hungrier talents threatened his position, pushing him further into obscurity. Fans' patience evaporated, frustration morphing into hostility. Pogba became synonymous with failure, an easy scapegoat for United's ongoing struggles. Yet, amidst this chaos, Pogba fiercely clung to the hope of redemption. He desperately wanted to prove his critics wrong, to silence doubters with one decisive return to form. But fate had other plans. A devastating series of setbacks rendered Pogba's United journey nearly unbearable, pushing him toward an inevitable, heartbreaking departure. In 2022, he exited Old Trafford for a second time, leaving behind a legacy marred by controversy, bitterness, and unanswered questions. Had Manchester United crushed Pogba's spirit, or was Pogba simply not built for the merciless demands of the Premier League? The question echoed hauntingly unanswered, lingering in the minds of fans and critics alike. With his reputation damaged and future uncertain, Pogba's next move shocked observers. A return to Juventus, the club where he had once felt invincible, untouchable, and truly loved. Fans rejoiced, believing Italy's nurturing embrace could revive their fallen hero. Pogba's own hope flickered, rekindled momentarily by memories of his former greatness. Juventus, desperate to reclaim dominance, gambled boldly on Pogba's once unquestionable brilliance. But beneath the optimism lay brutal realities Pogba couldn't escape. Injuries immediately resurfaced, relentless, unforgiving, cruelly interrupting his quest for redemption. Each attempted comeback ended prematurely, painfully. Juventus supporters, once adoring, now grew restless, impatient with the expensive gamble rapidly proving disastrous. Pogba's frustration escalated into quiet despair, his body failing repeatedly, betraying him when he needed strength most. Doubts gnawed at him fiercely. Could he ever recapture former glory? Or was this harsh decline irreversible? Then, unexpectedly, a scandal erupted, explosive, devastating, and career-threatening. In 2023, routine doping tests revealed elevated testosterone levels in Pogba's system, instantly triggering suspicions of deliberate cheating. Pogba fiercely denied wrongdoing, yet skepticism overshadowed his pleas of innocence. Football's unforgiving authorities imposed an immediate suspension, subjecting Pogba to humiliating scrutiny and worldwide condemnation. Juventus swiftly distanced themselves, abandoning their disgraced star. Pogba's world crumbled dramatically, his integrity questioned, legacy tarnished irreparably. How could he, once the darling of football, find himself entangled in such scandalous disgrace? Fans reeled, conflicted between disbelief, disappointment, and betrayal. Media ruthlessly dissected Pogba's every word, action, and statement, amplifying controversy and confusion. Did Pogba knowingly cross ethical boundaries, desperately seeking performance advantages? Or was he victimized, perhaps sabotaged, by forces beyond his control? Uncertainty tormented fans, fueling endless speculation and intensifying Pogba's suffering. In early 2024, authorities rendered their harsh verdict. Pogba received a crushing 4-year ban from professional football, a punishment that felt like an execution of his football dreams. Juventus unceremoniously terminated his contract, discarding him into football's ruthless wilderness. Financial ruin loomed ominously, compounding Pogba's humiliation. From global superstar to disgraced exile, Pogba's descent was painfully swift and stunningly brutal. With no club, dwindling finances, and a tainted reputation, Pogba faced an uncertain, terrifying future. Yet whispers persisted. Rumors swirled of interest from distant leagues, Major League Soccer in America or Saudi Arabia's lucrative arenas. Could Pogba resurrect his shattered career elsewhere, restoring dignity and rewriting his tarnished legacy? But beneath the speculation lingered Pogba's own devastating doubts. Was football even his path anymore? Did he possess strength enough for another agonizing comeback attempt, knowing failure could destroy him entirely? Questions haunted him incessantly unanswered, feeding fears and doubts. The darkness surrounding Pogba deepened further, uncertainty overshadowing faint glimpses of hope. Every great story has a dark side, and we expose them all. Subscribe now before the truth gets buried. Yet, just as Pogba reached his bleakest moment, something astonishing emerged from the shadows. Something so shocking, unexpected, and mysterious it promised to change everything he thought he knew about his life, his career, and himself. Pogba's promising return to Manchester United quickly turned into a haunting cycle of relentless setbacks. His body, once a fortress of power and agility, suddenly betrayed him, becoming his worst enemy. Injuries became increasingly frequent, each one more debilitating than the last. Hamstrings strained and snapped like overstretched rubber bands, knees buckled under pressure, ankles twisted at crucial moments, and with every new injury, Pogba seemed further detached from the superstar he once was. Fans, initially sympathetic, soon grew restless and suspicious. Frustration spread rapidly through the Old Trafford stands, resentment echoing in chants and boos that reverberated mercilessly in Pogba's ears. The hero who had been welcomed home as a savior was now openly labeled lazy, fragile, and a symbol of Manchester United's expensive failures. Criticism from the media was relentless, scrutinizing not just his physical condition, but questioning his heart, his desire, and his very professionalism. Pogba struggled internally, trapped between the weight of impossible expectations and a body refusing to cooperate. His passion for football began to fade beneath the harsh glare of judgment. Doubts swirled within him, gnawing at his confidence, turning the once confident midfielder into a shadow of his former self. As his performances deteriorated, tensions inside the club intensified. Rumors of internal conflicts filled the tabloids. Coaches doubted his commitment. Teammates questioned his attitude. The Manchester United dressing room, once Pogba's sanctuary, became a hostile environment, leaving him isolated and misunderstood. Whispers behind closed doors painted Pogba as the disruptive element, the player who cared more about his hairstyles and social media following than the team's success. But was that true? Was Pogba truly the villain of Manchester United's struggles? Or was he simply a misunderstood talent, victimized by circumstances beyond his control? This question split the fanbase down the middle, igniting fierce debates online and offline. Heated arguments erupted everywhere, fans passionately defending or condemning Pogba's role in United's downfall. And that's exactly where you come in. Let me know in the comments right now. Do you think Pogba failed Manchester United, or did the club fail Pogba? Your opinion matters in unraveling this captivating football mystery. In 2022, after exhausting seasons filled with turmoil and disappointments, Pogba and Manchester United reached their inevitable breaking point. United, weary of endless drama and inconsistent performances, allowed their once prized possession to leave on a free transfer, casting Pogba into the football wilderness without compensation. For Pogba, this departure was bittersweet, freedom from constant criticism, yet burdened with a heavy regret of unfinished business. Leaving Old Trafford felt like surrendering a lifelong dream, a public admission of failure. But deep within, Pogba remained hopeful, believing he could rediscover his spark elsewhere. The whispers began quietly at first, a nostalgic call echoing from his past. A call from Turin, where Juventus still remembered his golden era. Juventus, desperate for revival, gambled boldly on Pogba's return, convinced they could resurrect his fading brilliance. Pogba embraced the move enthusiastically, believing Italy's familiar grounds could heal his wounds, restore his confidence, and reignite his passion. For a fleeting moment, it seemed destiny was offering Pogba a second chance, a glorious redemption. Fans welcomed him back as a hero. Banners unfurled across Turin's stadium, proclaiming the return of their prodigal son. Juventus supporters, blinded by nostalgia, dreamt of reliving Pogba's spectacular earlier days, anticipating trophies and victories once again gracing their club. Pogba himself felt a rush of excitement, convinced his darkest days were behind him. But fate had a cruel twist in store, a sinister shadow looming just beyond the celebrations, a shadow determined to obliterate Pogba's redemption arc before it even began. From the very beginning, ominous signs appeared. Pogba's return to training sessions at Juventus quickly revealed troubling cracks beneath the surface. His body refused to cooperate, breaking down repeatedly. Injuries that were supposed to heal swiftly lingered, intensifying Pogba's frustration. Juventus's medical staff grew alarmed, puzzled by his slow recovery and persistent fragility. Fans soon began murmuring again, questioning the wisdom of Pogba's return. Was he irreversibly damaged? Had Juventus made a costly error? Blinded by sentimentality? Doubts crept back, poisoning enthusiasm, and Pogba felt mounting pressure, a familiar sense of dread gripping him again. Yet nothing could prepare him for what was about to happen next. Late one night in 2023, Pogba received an unexpected call from Juventus's medical team. Routine doping tests had uncovered elevated testosterone levels in his blood, results that seemed impossible yet frighteningly real. Pogba's heart raced, confusion flooding his mind. How could this happen? He vehemently denied any wrongdoing, desperately pleading his innocence. But football's authorities showed no mercy. They swiftly imposed a provisional suspension, publicly condemning Pogba before a proper defense could be mounted. The media, sensing blood in the water, erupted in scandal, labeling Pogba a cheater, a disgrace, tarnishing his reputation irreparably overnight. Juventus distanced themselves quickly, unwilling to risk their own image by associating closely with the disgraced player. Pogba was left utterly alone, abandoned at his lowest point, the weight of public shame crushing him daily. Investigations dragged painfully on, fueling endless speculation. Did Pogba deliberately cheat, driven by desperation to reclaim his prime? Or was there another explanation? Something darker hidden behind the scenes? Perhaps sabotage, negligence, or a devastating medical error? The uncertainty tormented Pogba, who spiraled deeper into despair, questioning everything: his past, his choices, and even his own integrity. Football authorities eventually delivered their devastating verdict in 2024, sentencing Pogba to an excruciating 4-year ban from professional football. The news felt like a death sentence to Pogba's dreams. Juventus immediately terminated his contract, severing their ties ruthlessly. Pogba now faced ruin, unemployed, his reputation shattered beyond repair, and finances plummeting dangerously. This was rock bottom. Devastation so complete it threatened to erase the memory of Pogba's past glory entirely. Yet, even amid the darkness, whispers of possible redemption floated through football's corridors. Rumors spread of interest from distant lucrative leagues. America's MLS, Saudi Arabia's rich clubs, places willing to gamble on Pogba's fading stardom. Could these leagues offer Pogba a lifeline, a chance to rebuild, restore dignity, and rewrite his tarnished legacy? Or was Pogba destined to disappear silently into football's cruel oblivion, another forgotten talent, a cautionary tale for future generations? But beneath these rumors lay Pogba's most haunting question yet. Did he even possess the strength, the courage, or the desire to fight once more, risking another heartbreaking failure? The answer remained elusive. Buried deep within Pogba's fractured soul, his love for the beautiful game battled fiercely against deep-seated doubts, fears, and overwhelming hopelessness. Pogba's mental state deteriorated rapidly, consumed by anguish, paranoia, and isolation. Friends, teammates, and allies abandoned him, unable or unwilling to support the fallen star. Pogba withdrew completely, shrouding himself in secrecy, avoiding the public eye, consumed by unanswered questions. Yet, just when the football world assumed Pogba's story had ended, the shadows stirred once more. Something shocking and entirely unexpected began to emerge. A revelation so disturbing, so explosive, it threatened to change everything Pogba and the footballing community believed. Hidden truths waited impatiently, preparing to break through the surface and reveal the real story behind Pogba's tragic downfall. When Paul Pogba stepped back onto Juventus training grounds in Turin, hope surged like electricity through the veins of every Juventus fan. This was supposed to be more than a simple comeback. It was meant to be the grand revival of a fallen hero, a chance to reclaim glory lost amid bitter disappointment. Memories of his past brilliance still echoed through the club, reminding supporters of spectacular goals, dazzling assists, and dominant midfield performances that once made him the envy of every club in Europe. Pogba himself arrived believing the second spell in Italy would finally erase the painful memories of Manchester United, replacing them with a fresh start, a new beginning. The stage seemed perfectly set, expectations sky high, fans ready to embrace their prodigal son once again. But it didn't take long before optimism began fading into anxious whispers. Pogba's body, battered and weary from years of punishing injuries, betrayed him once again. Barely weeks into his return, training sessions became minefields of frustration as old injuries resurfaced with haunting familiarity. Every sprint ended with pain etched across his face. Every turn, every tackle brought the grimacing realization that his physical prime was slipping irretrievably away. Juventus medical teams scrambled desperately for answers, yet each diagnosis revealed deeper, harsher truths. Pogba's body was deteriorating far more rapidly than anyone imagined. Fans watched helplessly, their hopeful cheers dwindling to uncertain murmurs. Was the Pogba who once lit up stadiums truly gone forever? The nightmare intensified with each passing match day. Games he was expected to dominate became exhibitions of sorrow, painful reminders of what had been lost. Every substitution left fans shaking their heads in dismay, murmuring angrily about wasted opportunities, squandered resources, and broken promises. Critics seized the opportunity to label Pogba as washed up, incapable of carrying the team, unworthy of Juventus' faith. As pressure mounted from supporters, media scrutiny intensified ruthlessly, dissecting every missed pass, every hesitant move, every grimace of pain caught on camera. Pogba was no longer shielded by past glory. He was utterly exposed, vulnerable, and rapidly becoming football's cautionary tale. His own confidence eroded daily, driven away by the relentless torment of injuries, criticism, and self-doubt. Could Pogba ever recover the brilliance he'd once effortlessly possessed, or had his return to Juventus merely accelerated his heartbreaking decline? Yet, just as supporters reached their breaking point, convinced the club had wasted millions on a nostalgic fantasy, something darker loomed ominously on the horizon. Juventus, already burdened by financial pressures and performance anxieties, suddenly found themselves drawn into a maelstrom of scandal. In a routine doping test, medical officers detected abnormally high testosterone levels in Pogba's blood sample. News broke swiftly, and disbelief washed through the footballing world like a tsunami. Pogba, the charismatic star known for his skill and personality, now stood accused of cheating, of crossing a line no athlete ever returns from. Overnight, the narrative shifted brutally. Pogba, once celebrated worldwide, became an instant pariah. His vehement denials were drowned out by accusations and speculation. Questions swirled uncontrollably. Had Pogba succumbed to temptation, seeking shortcuts to revive his failing career? Or was he truly a victim, ensnared by forces beyond his comprehension? As the investigation dragged on, the Juventus fanbase fractured bitterly. Loyalists clung desperately to their belief in Pogba's innocence, unwilling to accept their hero could betray them. Yet others felt betrayed, demanding swift justice and harsh punishment. Pogba found himself more isolated than ever, trapped in a cruel paradox, fighting accusations he never imagined facing, while battling injuries that left him helpless to defend himself on the field. His mental health deteriorated rapidly, anxiety gnawing relentlessly at his mind, paranoia lurking behind every conversation. Friends disappeared, allies turned distant, and Pogba's world shrank rapidly, leaving him abandoned and afraid. As evidence mounted, Pogba's situation spiraled uncontrollably. The authorities finally delivered their devastating verdict in early 2024, a brutal 4-year ban from professional football. The news hit Pogba like a hammer blow, shattering his spirit instantly. Juventus swiftly moved to terminate his contract, publicly distancing themselves from their once beloved star, leaving Pogba adrift, penniless, and utterly disgraced. Fans who had adored him now mocked his downfall. Media headlines blared his humiliation, and former teammates distanced themselves, unwilling to be associated with such controversy. Pogba's life descended rapidly into chaos, his carefully built legacy demolished by scandal, accusation, and punishment. His name, once synonymous with greatness, became linked permanently with disgrace. But even amid darkness, whispers persisted of potential salvation. Far from Europe's harsh spotlight, distant leagues still expressed tentative interest, wondering if Pogba's tarnished stardom might yet bring them publicity and fans. Rumors spread quietly of lucrative deals from America's MLS or Saudi Arabia, offering Pogba one last chance to rewrite the final chapter of his career, to reclaim dignity and find redemption. Yet Pogba hesitated, tortured by the overwhelming fear of another devastating failure. Could he withstand further humiliation, another public rejection? Or was the bitter taste of disgrace too powerful, permanently poisoning any possibility of revival? Meanwhile, Pogba's personal life unraveled brutally. Relationships strained under constant stress, family bonds stretched to breaking points, friendships disintegrated as scandal spread. He became a recluse, hiding from public view, avoiding conversations, fearing betrayal at every turn. Financial ruin loomed ominously, debts accumulated alarmingly, and Pogba faced a future stripped of purpose, stability, and identity. Once football's bright star, he was now a cautionary tale, a warning whispered to rising talents about the merciless nature of fame and fortune. But just when everyone believed Pogba's tragic narrative had reached its darkest possible conclusion, new revelations suddenly surfaced. Leaked messages, mysterious communications, and previously unseen medical documents emerged from behind football's shadowy curtain, pointing towards something sinister. far more calculated than anyone imagined. Could Pogba have been deliberately targeted, sabotaged from within? Was the doping scandal actually a carefully orchestrated conspiracy designed specifically to destroy his career and reputation? Football fans, analysts, and investigators were stunned by the implications. Pogba himself, once resigned to disgrace, now desperately clung to hope, convinced the truth might finally emerge, clearing his name and restoring his shattered reputation. Yet uncovering this truth came with immense risks. Powerful forces within football had too much invested in Pogba's downfall. Each new revelation brought threats, intimidation, and danger closer to Pogba's doorstep. Paranoia intensified, fear becoming Pogba's constant companion. Still, determined to reclaim his life, Pogba courageously pressed forward, searching relentlessly for evidence, allies, and the courage to confront the powerful adversaries threatening his very existence. Now, if you've been shocked by this twist in Pogba's journey, hit the like button right now. Every like helps spread this incredible story, reaching football fans worldwide, bringing awareness to the hidden truths behind the beautiful game's darkest scandals. Let's push the truth forward together. But Pogba's search was about to uncover something even darker. Something so dangerous, shocking, and deeply hidden that it threatened not just his reputation, but his life. Just when you thought the nightmare was finally coming to an end, the real nightmare was only beginning. When the doping scandal exploded into the headlines, it felt as though a bomb had detonated inside Paul Pogba's life. Elevated testosterone levels had been detected in his bloodstream, a finding so devastatingly clear, it seemed impossible to deny. Overnight, the football world, once captivated by Pogba's mesmerizing talent, turned hostile, judgmental, and unforgiving. Fans who'd idolized him stared in disbelief, unable to reconcile the hero they admired with this new image. Pogba, the supposed cheat. Yet, Pogba himself vehemently maintained innocence, passionately insisting he had never willingly taken any banned substance. He swore again and again to teammates, friends, and even his harshest critics that a grave mistake had occurred somewhere, somehow. But his pleas fell on deaf ears, drowned by sensational headlines, public condemnation, and the brutal judgments that followed. The authorities swiftly intervened, suspending Pogba immediately, preventing him from stepping foot onto a professional pitch. This provisional suspension, intended merely as a precaution, quickly evolved into a public execution of his reputation. Pogba retreated from view, trapped in isolation, while rumors spread rapidly. Every whisper seemed harsher than the last. Some speculated he'd sought performance-enhancing shortcuts, desperate to reclaim lost glory. Others questioned darker motives, suggesting personal greed and ego drove him to betray the very sport that made him a star. The media fed eagerly on controversy, relentlessly dissecting Pogba's career, life, and choices, portraying him as football's latest fallen angel. Pogba watched helplessly as his legacy crumbled around him, powerless against the flood of accusations and slander. Yet deep within his mind, Pogba remained haunted by an unsettling question. Had he unknowingly made an error, trusting someone he shouldn't have? Or had he been deliberately set up, betrayed by someone close? Months of torturous uncertainty passed painfully slow. Pogba, once the charismatic heart of every team he'd played for, now waited desperately, hoping for redemption or at least clarity. Yet as 2024 arrived, the devastating judgment came crashing down. A staggering 4-year ban from all professional football. The punishment reverberated through the football community like an earthquake, sending shockwaves that would destroy whatever remained of Pogba's hope. It felt like a death sentence, annihilating any chance of reclaiming his place in football's elite. The ban's length meant Pogba's career would likely be over by its conclusion, effectively forcing him into involuntary retirement. Pogba sank deeper into despair, grappling daily with anxiety, depression, and an overwhelming sense of loss. His identity, built around football, was suddenly erased, leaving him adrift in a harsh, judgmental world. Every waking moment reminded him painfully of what he'd lost, driving him closer to darkness. But just when it seemed things couldn't get worse, Juventus, the club Pogba believed would stand by him, dealt him another cruel blow. The club swiftly terminated Pogba's contract, casting him aside without hesitation, without remorse, and without warning. Juventus, once his sanctuary, the club where he felt truly loved, now saw him only as a liability, too toxic, too damaged to associate with. The suddenness and brutality of Juventus' decision left fans reeling, stunned by the ruthless pragmatism displayed by the iconic Italian giant. Had Juventus acted correctly, protecting their reputation and finances, or had they betrayed a man who'd once proudly worn their colors and brought them glory? As Pogba's association with Juventus ended abruptly, the football world exploded into fierce debates, some condemning Juventus as heartless and cynical, others defending their choice as necessary. Pogba, meanwhile, remained silent, trapped in shock and disbelief. As days turned to weeks, Pogba became more isolated, retreating further from the world. His phone, once filled with constant messages from friends, agents, and admirers, now remained painfully silent. Pogba felt utterly abandoned, betrayed, and broken. Even his closest friends became distant, uncomfortable with the scandal's intensity. Pogba's personal life unraveled completely. Relationships fractured beyond repair. Family members struggled to support him, torn between loyalty and shame. Pogba, once surrounded by praise and adoration, now faced his darkest moments entirely alone. Financially, his security evaporated overnight. Lucrative sponsorship deals evaporated swiftly, brands unwilling to associate with controversy. Pogba now battled anxiety not only about his career, but survival itself, haunted nightly by the prospect of financial ruin. His lavish lifestyle became a cruel reminder of better days, of dreams now permanently shattered. Still, despite the crushing weight of despair, Pogba refused to surrender entirely. Deep within him lingered an unbreakable resolve, an instinctive refusal to accept defeat without fighting back. Pogba began quietly investigating, seeking desperately for answers, driven by suspicion that the doping scandal was not simply a tragic accident, but something far darker. He hired private investigators, meticulously retraced his steps, interviewed medical professionals, and scoured every inch of his personal and professional life for clues. Gradually, startling inconsistencies emerged, unexplained irregularities in medical records, suspicious communications, and conflicting testimonies from Juventus staff. A chilling realization took hold. Someone had deliberately manipulated Pogba's circumstances, sabotaging his test results, orchestrating the scandal with cold precision. As Pogba unearthed more shocking evidence, threats began emerging from shadows he had never known existed. Cryptic messages appeared anonymously, warning Pogba to abandon his search, hinting ominously at powerful interests invested in maintaining his disgrace. Pogba, initially fearful, grew defiant, convinced he'd uncovered a dangerous conspiracy at football's highest levels. Yet this discovery brought terrifying consequences. Pogba's safety now hung precariously by a thread, unknown enemies watching every move, determined to silence him permanently. Pogba's investigation had unwittingly drawn him into a sinister web far larger than himself. A tangled conspiracy involving powerful agents, shadowy investors, and influential figures whose reputations depended on Pogba's continued disgrace. Each revelation carried tremendous personal risk, yet Pogba felt compelled to push forward, desperate to reclaim his honor and rewrite the tragic narrative imposed upon him. Amid escalating threats and overwhelming odds, Pogba confronted his darkest fears, questioning whether uncovering the truth was worth risking everything. The stakes were dangerously high. He wasn't merely fighting to clear his name. He battled against forces capable of destroying anyone in their path. With every discovery, Pogba's world became increasingly perilous, paranoia consuming his daily existence. He knew that each step closer to exposing the conspiracy brought him deeper into danger. Yet retreating felt impossible. His dignity, legacy, and very life depended upon his courage to confront the conspiracy head-on. Pogba reached out cautiously to allies, former teammates, journalists willing to risk exposing football's ugly truths. Secret meetings, hushed conversations in shadowed cafes, and hidden corners of European cities became his reality, each interaction filled with tension and dread. But as Pogba edged closer to the ultimate truth, an unexpected betrayal shattered his fragile alliances, leaving him exposed and vulnerable once again. Someone Pogba trusted completely, someone from within his inner circle, suddenly turned against him, betraying his movements to those seeking his downfall. Pogba's worst fears materialized. He was completely alone, surrounded by hidden enemies, uncertain whom to trust. Still, his determination never wavered. He knew surrender meant accepting defeat, permanent disgrace, and life under a shadow he couldn't endure. Pogba, drawing strength from desperation, vowed privately he'd reveal the conspiracy, no matter the personal cost. Now, if this incredible story of betrayal, conspiracy, and courage resonates with you, smash that subscribe button right now. Every subscribe helps spread this gripping saga to football fans worldwide, ensuring Pogba's truth reaches those willing to see beyond headlines. Don't let this story fade. Support this journey toward justice and clarity. And brace yourself, because the conspiracy Pogba was about to uncover would shock the football world to its very core, revealing secrets so dark, dangerous, and explosive they threatened the very foundations of the beautiful game itself. The cold, ruthless decision by Juventus to terminate Pogba's contract sent shockwaves rippling through the football world. Fans watched in stunned disbelief as the news flashed across headlines, sealing Pogba's fate with cruel finality. Once a beloved figure, celebrated on terraces packed with passionate supporters, Pogba now found himself cast into exile, betrayed by the very club he believed would stand by him through any storm. Juventus, the institution that had elevated him to global stardom years before, swiftly and mercilessly severed all ties, branding him as damaged goods. Overnight, Pogba was left adrift, without a team, without income, and stripped of his identity as a professional footballer. His carefully crafted image, built meticulously over years of hard work, discipline, and sacrifice, collapsed in the blink of an eye. The harshness of Juventus' decision sparked fierce debate among fans and analysts alike, dividing opinion with passionate intensity. Was Juventus justified in protecting their reputation, swiftly cutting losses to avoid further scandal? Or did they betray Pogba, abandoning a player who had once given them everything? This critical question echoed loudly, igniting debates that raged relentlessly across social media, fan forums, and sports broadcasts worldwide. But the pain of Juventus' abandonment ran deeper than public disgrace or lost income. Pogba grappled with overwhelming isolation, struggling to process the depth of the betrayal. Juventus wasn't merely his club. Turin had become his second home, a city where fans adored him unconditionally during his brightest days. Suddenly cast out from that embrace, Pogba questioned everything: his choices, his friendships, his sense of self. The silence around him became suffocating. Former teammates who once shared celebrations now distanced themselves discreetly, fearing association with Pogba's scandal. could tarnish their own reputations. Even those he considered family began retreating, their discomfort palpable in every conversation. Pogba's reality turned unbearably lonely, his nights spent wrestling with anxiety, paranoia, and overwhelming guilt. Had he truly failed Juventus so profoundly? Or had Juventus failed him at his most vulnerable moment? His finances, once seemingly unshakable, deteriorated rapidly. The termination of his lucrative contract left Pogba scrambling to maintain appearances while debts steadily mounted. Lavish homes, expensive cars, and extravagant lifestyles transformed into heavy burdens, painful reminders of former glory. Financial advisors urgently warned Pogba of impending bankruptcy if drastic measures weren't taken immediately. Desperate attempts to sell assets drew media attention, magnifying his humiliation. Headlines mocked the fallen star, highlighting his spectacular fall from grace. Yet Pogba's greatest fear wasn't financial ruin. It was the terrifying possibility that he might never again experience the thrill of competitive football, the electrifying energy of packed stadiums, or the euphoric roar of fans chanting his name. As Europe's footballing doors slammed shut, new possibilities arose unexpectedly from distant shores. Major League Soccer clubs in America discreetly expressed cautious interest, intrigued by Pogba's remaining star power. Likewise, wealthy teams in Saudi Arabia quietly signaled willingness to gamble on the fallen legend, believing his presence could attract global attention. Yet, every potential offer carried caveats: reduced salaries, strict behavioral clauses, and humiliating conditions designed to protect clubs from further embarrassment. Pogba hesitated, torn between pride and desperation, dignity and necessity. Could he truly rebuild his shattered legacy thousands of miles from Europe's prestigious stadiums? Would acceptance signal surrender, a tacit admission of permanent disgrace? Pogba's uncertainty lingered painfully, each offer forcing him deeper into existential contemplation. Still haunted by unanswered questions surrounding the doping scandal, Pogba continued privately searching for truth, determined to unearth hidden conspiracies that had destroyed his career. His investigation intensified dramatically, revealing disturbing layers of corruption and deceit within football's upper echelons. Secret meetings, encrypted communications, and anonymous whistleblowers gradually painted a chilling portrait. Pogba was not merely the victim of an unfortunate error. He had become a calculated target, deliberately sabotaged by influential figures threatened by his status. Evidence pointed shockingly toward collusion between club officials, influential agents, and shadowy investors, individuals with vested interests in Pogba's professional collapse. The scandal extended far beyond Juventus, implicating respected figures across football's global landscape. Each new revelation placed Pogba's safety in escalating jeopardy. Threatening messages appeared anonymously, warning him to abandon his search immediately or face consequences far graver than mere professional ruin. Yet Pogba, driven relentlessly by determination and fury, pressed onward, fully aware of the immense personal risks involved. He reached out to trusted confidants, former teammates, journalists brave enough to expose football's deepest, darkest secrets. Secret meetings occurred in anonymous locations across Europe: shadowy cafes, obscure hotels, abandoned stadium suites. Every interaction infused with paranoia and dread. Pogba's world narrowed dramatically, paranoia becoming a constant companion. Friends once trusted implicitly suddenly became suspects, each interaction analyzed obsessively for hidden betrayal. Every encounter was tinged with anxiety, uncertainty lurking beneath each whispered conversation. Then came the most devastating betrayal yet. Someone from Pogba's inner circle, someone deeply trusted, deliberately sabotaged his efforts, leaking crucial information directly to his hidden enemies. This brutal treachery left Pogba utterly exposed, vulnerable in ways he'd never imagined possible. Suddenly, threats became terrifyingly personal. Intrusions at his home, unsettling encounters with strangers on darkened streets, anonymous notes promising dire consequences if his investigations continued. Pogba's physical safety, previously taken for granted, now felt permanently compromised. Every shadow hid danger, every stranger potentially lethal. He realized grimly that football's conspiracy reached higher, deeper, and darker than anyone could have imagined. Yet, rather than retreating, Pogba's resolve hardened further. If football's powerful cabal wished to silence him, he would scream louder, exposing every sinister detail publicly, regardless of personal cost. As Pogba bravely confronted his hidden adversaries, football fans worldwide watched in shocked disbelief, wrestling with troubling revelations that undermined trust in the sport they passionately loved. Pogba's plight became symbolic, a chilling warning illustrating how easily powerful interests could destroy careers, reputations, and even lives to protect their sinister agendas. Pogba, previously seen as merely a fallen star, now emerged heroically, determined not merely to redeem himself, but to expose football's systemic corruption. Yet uncertainty remained painfully palpable. Could Pogba truly prevail against forces so immense, entrenched, and ruthless? Now it's your turn. Join the conversation and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Did Juventus act correctly by abandoning Pogba, protecting themselves at all costs? Or did they owe loyalty and support to their former star, even in his darkest moments? Your opinion matters deeply, shaping our understanding of loyalty, morality, and betrayal in modern football. Share your thoughts right now and help unravel this compelling debate. Yet, even as Pogba bravely battled his powerful adversaries, an even more shocking revelation waited impatiently in the shadows. One final, devastating twist that would shake football to its core. Just as Pogba believed he had seen football's darkest secrets, the next chapter promised to expose unimaginable truths, unveiling sinister plots far deeper than anyone dared imagine. Pogba's personal struggle had suddenly become football's greatest crisis, threatening the integrity of the beautiful game itself. Fans held their breath anxiously, aware that the next revelation could change everything they believed about football forever. Stay tuned, because the darkest secret yet to come is about to emerge. As Paul Pogba faced an uncertain future, whispers began spreading, sending shockwaves across the global football community. With his European career effectively destroyed, rumors surfaced that Pogba might find refuge in Major League Soccer or the lucrative leagues of Saudi Arabia. Both destinations offered distinct promises: a fresh start, a clean slate, away from the relentless European scrutiny. America, with its emerging MLS, represented a chance for Pogba to rebuild his legacy from the ground up, leveraging his global star power to elevate the rapidly growing league. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia's staggering financial might dangled an enticing lifeline, a path paved in gold, wealth that could restore Pogba's dignity and offer security in a time of uncertainty. Yet, beneath these seemingly appealing options lurked profound doubts. Could Pogba, burdened by scandal and haunted by personal anguish, truly find redemption on unfamiliar soil? Or would he merely become another forgotten star, fading quietly into football's twilight? Speculation intensified, drawing passionate debates from fans worldwide. Some believed Pogba's talent and charisma could still electrify audiences in America, reigniting his passion in a league eager for global icons. Others argued he would simply vanish, overshadowed by younger stars and emerging talents who lacked Pogba's heavy baggage. Each potential move carried hidden risks. Pogba knew relocating across oceans wouldn't silence his critics. Instead, skepticism and suspicion would follow him everywhere. The media spotlight, though softer away from Europe, would remain relentless. Every performance scrutinized, every misstep magnified, a heavy burden for a player struggling internally to rediscover his passion for the game. In America, MLS executives quietly pondered Pogba's complicated situation. On one hand, his arrival could inject star power, attract international viewers, and elevate the league's global standing. On the other, associating with Pogba meant inheriting controversy, navigating potential backlash, and risking club reputations built carefully over years. Clubs like LA Galaxy, Inter Miami, and New York City FC weighed their options, each carefully assessing whether Pogba's undeniable talent outweighed the potential PR nightmare. Pogba himself felt uncertainty gnawing at him constantly. Could he genuinely adapt to a different football culture, embrace America's intense commercial spotlight, and perform under scrutiny that, while less aggressive, remained significant? His passion for football, battered by scandal, needed urgent rekindling, and the question haunted him. Would MLS fans accept him, forgive his past, or simply brand him another European has been seeking easy retirement? Meanwhile, across the globe, Saudi Arabian clubs observed quietly, calculating their moves with precision. The wealthy nation had recently become football's newest global stage, attracting stars with astronomical contracts and promises of financial security unrivaled elsewhere. Clubs like Al Nassr, Al Hilal, and Al Ittihad discreetly signaled interest, prepared to welcome Pogba with open arms and open wallets. They cared less about controversy. Instead, they saw opportunity. Pogba's troubled past mattered little in a league hungry for prestige, international attention, and global recognition. The Saudis believed Pogba's presence alone would boost their profile dramatically, instantly validating their ambitious sporting projects. Yet Pogba faced internal turmoil, questioning whether the money and luxury offered could truly heal emotional scars inflicted by Europe's ruthless football industry. In private moments of solitude, Pogba struggled profoundly. Nightmares of past failures plagued him nightly. Relentless visions of critical matches gone wrong, accusations that shredded his reputation, betrayal by clubs he once loved deeply. Each memory carried crushing emotional weight, tormenting Pogba as he pondered his future. The thought of retiring early crossed his mind repeatedly, tempting him to leave football entirely, embracing anonymity, freedom from relentless public scrutiny. Yet deep inside, passion still flickered stubbornly, a tiny spark resisting complete darkness, reminding Pogba why he once loved the game desperately. Could he really abandon football, surrender his identity completely, and drift aimlessly into obscurity? The decision tortured him, forcing constant reflection on his values, ambitions, and legacy. Complicating matters further, Pogba's ongoing investigations into football's sinister underworld continued, revealing disturbing revelations daily. Evidence mounted, exposing corruption deeper than he'd initially suspected, implicating powerful figures who controlled careers, manipulated results, and ruthlessly punished dissenters. Every discovery reinforced Pogba's paranoia, intensifying fears about hidden enemies determined to silence him permanently. Could he risk moving publicly to another league, exposing himself openly to adversaries, seeking revenge for his attempts to unveil football's darkest secrets? Pogba knew danger waited at every corner, yet retreating from football risked abandoning the truth he'd courageously fought to expose. Pogba consulted trusted friends discreetly, seeking counsel amid overwhelming confusion. Some urged caution, suggesting retirement offered the safest, sanest path forward. Others passionately insisted football needed Pogba now more than ever, urging him to embrace MLS or Saudi Arabia boldly, reclaiming his voice, and continuing to inspire fans globally. Pogba considered both arguments carefully, his heart wrestling fiercely against logic. Each scenario felt simultaneously appealing and terrifying. American redemption, Saudi wealth, or quiet retirement. Every choice presented profound implications, permanently shaping Pogba's personal narrative and football legacy. Fans worldwide waited anxiously, debating Pogba's possible future passionately across social media platforms. Discussions ignited fiercely. Supporters argued over whether Pogba deserved another chance, whether MLS or Saudi Arabia offered true redemption, or if retirement represented the dignified conclusion Pogba desperately needed. Football analysts dissected possibilities endlessly, considering tactical, cultural, and psychological implications carefully. Pogba remained eerily silent publicly, watching debates unfold from a distance, uncertain how to respond or proceed. His silence intensified speculation dramatically, fans guessing wildly at Pogba's internal struggles, unaware how deeply their passionate discussions resonated within him. Meanwhile, as Pogba weighed future options carefully, the conspiracy he'd begun uncovering reached critical mass. Confidential informants surfaced discreetly, offering explosive evidence implicating powerful football officials, club executives, and influential agents directly responsible for Pogba's professional ruin. Each revelation increased personal risks exponentially, drawing dangerous enemies closer daily. Pogba realized fully exposing football's systemic corruption required immense courage, risking personal safety and further alienation from football's establishment. Yet Pogba felt obligated morally, determined not merely to restore his reputation, but ensure no player ever endured similar betrayal. His revelations held potential to radically reshape football governance globally, dismantling structures, enabling corruption, exploitation, and abuse. Still, danger lurked menacingly close. Anonymous threats intensified alarmingly, warning Pogba explicitly against further investigations. Strangers appeared frequently near Pogba's home, observing ominously, creating constant anxiety. Security precautions escalated rapidly, private investigators advising Pogba urgently about imminent threats. His reality became terrifyingly isolated, paranoia and suspicion dominating every waking moment. Despite overwhelming pressure, Pogba pressed onward bravely, convinced exposing truth outweighed personal safety. His resilience inspired fans globally, drawing admiration even among former critics who recognized Pogba's courage confronting football's entrenched corruption fearlessly. Now, if Pogba's thrilling journey captivates you, hit the like button immediately. Each like helps share Pogba's incredible story globally, highlighting courage confronting football's darkest secrets. Your support encourages Pogba's bravery, amplifying demands for transparency and integrity throughout football governance. Help ensure Pogba's courage isn't forgotten. Help guarantee his revelations reshape football positively forever. Standing alongside Pogba, demanding urgent change. Yet, even as Pogba courageously confronted threats and debated futures passionately, another shocking twist loomed ominously nearby. One final revelation so explosive, sinister, and devastatingly personal it threatened everything Pogba held dear. His story wasn't merely about redemption, football choices, or exposing conspiracies. It was about confronting truths so dangerous, painful, and personal they risked destroying Pogba completely. Stay closely connected. Pogba's greatest challenge still lies ahead, a hidden enemy determined to silence him permanently, ready to strike unexpectedly at any moment. Paul Pogba stood at the crossroads of uncertainty, his life having unraveled into a chaotic storm of relentless scrutiny, devastating injuries, and scandals that shattered his reputation. Fans around the globe wondered anxiously whether Pogba could stage one of football's most incredible comebacks, or if this tragic chapter truly marked the end. Behind closed doors, Pogba himself grappled painfully with these same thoughts. Each day brought renewed internal battles, relentless questions gnawing at his mind. Could he really overcome the dark shadow cast by controversy? Did he still possess enough inner strength, passion, and resilience to defy all odds, silencing critics who declared his career finished? These haunting uncertainties became constant companions, whispering doubts that tested Pogba's once unwavering self-belief. Yet, even amidst this internal turmoil, Pogba refused to surrender entirely. A spark deep within, ignited by years of triumphs, unforgettable goals, and passionate celebrations with millions of fans, still flickered defiantly, unwilling to be extinguished by scandal or betrayal. Pogba remembered vividly how his talent once mesmerized stadiums worldwide. Those electrifying moments, impossible strikes, dazzling assists, and fearless dribbles that had transformed him into football's iconic superstar. These cherished memories now fueled his determination fiercely, reminding Pogba precisely why he fell deeply in love with the beautiful game. Despite everything, he knew within himself that football was far more than just fame, money, or personal glory. For Pogba, football had always been life itself, his identity, his passion, his heartbeat. Yet questions lingered heavily around Pogba's future. Experts speculated fiercely, dissecting every available option with passionate intensity. Some analysts argued Pogba had irreparably damaged his legacy, convinced his career was effectively finished. Others, however, maintained that Pogba's exceptional talent remained intact beneath layers of controversy, scandal, and injury. If Pogba rediscovered discipline, commitment, and purpose, they passionately insisted he could stage an unforgettable comeback, reclaiming his position among football's elite. These debates exploded passionately across sports talk shows, social media platforms, and fan forums worldwide. Pogba's uncertain fate gripped the global football community deeply, resonating powerfully with fans who recognized themselves in Pogba's painful struggles against adversity, judgment, and despair. Quietly, Pogba listened carefully to these passionate debates from afar, absorbing every perspective thoughtfully. Each viewpoint carried powerful implications, either boosting his dwindling self-belief or reinforcing persistent doubts. Still, Pogba recognized clearly that external validation alone couldn't restore his battered confidence. Redemption required an internal awakening, an intense rekindling of passion, belief, and discipline within himself. Privately, Pogba engaged elite trainers and trusted mentors discreetly, determinedly rebuilding physical strength, mental resilience, and emotional toughness quietly behind closed doors. Training sessions grew fiercely intense, hours spent alone on isolated pitches, drenched in sweat, relentlessly perfecting skills long overshadowed by injury and criticism. Pogba's determination intensified dramatically. Every harsh critique, dismissive comment, or mocking headline fueled his hunger further, reinforcing resolve to prove critics spectacularly wrong. Meanwhile, Pogba's investigation into football's shadowy corruption progressed swiftly, unveiling increasingly disturbing revelations daily. Confidential informants disclosed shocking details implicating football's powerful elites directly involved in orchestrating Pogba's devastating doping scandal. Secret documents, intercepted communications, and testimonies painted terrifying portraits. Pogba had indeed become a deliberate target, ruthlessly sacrificed by influential individuals determined to protect sinister financial interests controlling football's lucrative industry. Yet Pogba courageously pressed forward, determinedly confronting football's sinister underworld fearlessly despite overwhelming personal risks involved. His revelations threatened powerful figures desperately protecting corrupt systems, exploiting football's global appeal. Pogba's struggle transformed dramatically. His personal redemption no longer limited merely to reclaiming football glory. Now, Pogba fought courageously for football's very integrity, exposing truths fans desperately deserved knowing. Each discovery strengthened Pogba's resolve fiercely, reinforcing profound belief that football urgently needed transparency, honesty, and ethical reforms immediately. Yet even as fans admired Pogba's resilience, powerful enemies intensified threats dramatically. Pogba's security deteriorated swiftly. Anonymous threats, unsettling encounters, disturbing intrusions intensified alarmingly. Friends feared deeply for Pogba's safety, urgently begging him privately to abandon dangerous investigations immediately. Yet Pogba remained defiantly resolute. Protecting football's integrity outweighed personal risks significantly. Amid escalating threats, Pogba quietly evaluated career options simultaneously, carefully considering potential MLS or Saudi Arabian offers privately. America's MLS represented intriguing redemption opportunities. Clubs like LA Galaxy discreetly signaled strong interest, cautiously evaluating Pogba's controversial background against potential global publicity, financial benefits, and league growth possibilities. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia's staggering financial might remained irresistibly appealing, promising Pogba immediate financial security amidst personal turmoil. Yet each option carried immense challenges. America required Pogba adapting culturally, professionally, psychologically amidst relentless scrutiny. Saudi Arabia offered financial stability, yet risked permanently branding Pogba, merely seeking easy wealth abroad, abandoning professional ambitions entirely. Pogba remained internally conflicted deeply. Every choice carried profound implications, shaping personal legacy permanently. His silence intensified speculation dramatically. Pogba embarked courageously upon intense emotional recovery privately, engaging psychological specialists discreetly, determinedly healing emotional wounds, silently tormenting him daily. These intensely personal journeys restored Pogba's emotional balance gradually, reinforcing inner peace crucially required before embracing professional redemption opportunities abroad genuinely. Still, as Pogba bravely confronted emotional struggles privately, football's sinister conspiracy reached terrifying new heights dramatically. Powerful adversaries intensified efforts, ruthlessly silencing Pogba permanently. Pogba realized starkly that exposing truth risked genuine personal safety urgently now. Each revelation brought powerful enemies closer dangerously, yet retreating meant permanently surrendering personal integrity. Pogba courageously refused abandoning principles, now despite genuine personal dangers escalating dangerously. Now, if Pogba's breathtaking journey captivates you deeply, subscribe on channel immediately. This incredible story isn't finished yet. Shocking revelations await, dramatically ahead. Yet just when Pogba courageously believed he'd confronted football's darkest threats urgently, another terrifying twist awaited silently nearby. One final shocking revelation so personal, devastating, and sinister it threatened Pogba's very existence. What's coming next surpasses anything previously imagined. Late one night, as rain lashed against his window and lightning illuminated the Parisian skyline, Pogba received an anonymous message. It was short, cryptic, and chilling. "Your fight ends here. Stop now, or lose everything." A cold shiver ran down his spine. Whoever was behind this message knew exactly how to reach him. Personally and intimately, Pogba stared at his phone, heart pounding violently, wondering desperately if this sinister force could truly follow through on such a terrifying promise. Fearfully, Pogba began retracing every recent encounter, every whispered conversation in darkened corridors and hidden cafes. Paranoia surged through his veins, overwhelming every rational thought. His mind raced. Could he trust anyone now? The betrayal he'd endured previously had stripped him of security. This message only deepened his isolation. He glanced nervously around his darkened apartment, shadows flickering ominously in corners, each movement making him jump. Pogba's breathing quickened, panic gripping him tightly. Despite his overwhelming fear, Pogba felt defiance stirring stubbornly within. After everything he'd faced, devastating injuries, humiliating scandals, ruthless betrayals, he refused to be intimidated now. Courageously, he resolved not to surrender. Quietly, gathering his remaining strength, he contacted a trusted journalist discreetly, arranging a secret meeting urgently at dawn. They met beneath an old bridge, shadows cloaking them protectively as Pogba revealed everything he'd uncovered. Corruption that reached into football's highest ranks, powerful figures manipulating careers, fixing results, and silencing dissenters ruthlessly. Yet just as Pogba handed crucial documents over, tires screeched nearby. Headlights blazed, illuminating their hidden location terrifyingly. Pogba's heart froze. He grabbed the journalist urgently, pulling him toward cover as figures emerged from the darkness. Masked men, ruthless intent visible despite shadows, concealing identities. Pogba knew instantly his fight had entered dangerous territory. Desperately fleeing through abandoned streets, his pulse thundered wildly, breath ragged. Each frantic step reinforced horrifying truth. His enemies possessed power extending far beyond football, capable of silencing anyone threatening their hidden empire. Days passed fearfully, Pogba moving constantly, avoiding detection desperately. Friends abandoned him, frightened by escalating threats. Family urged him to surrender investigations immediately, begging desperately for safety's sake. Pogba felt utterly alone, exhausted physically, mentally, emotionally, yet defiance refused to fade. He reached out cautiously to remaining allies willing, courageously supporting his fight. Former players similarly betrayed, investigative journalists risking personal safety, exposing football's corruption. Together, they unveiled astonishing evidence publicly, sparking global outrage dramatically. Fans worldwide rallied urgently behind Pogba, demanding justice. Football authorities scrambled desperately, containing fallout, publicly promising immediate reforms. Yet behind closed doors, powerful adversaries intensified efforts, silencing Pogba permanently. Threats escalated dangerously. Anonymous warnings became explicit, promising imminent violence if revelations continued publicly. Pogba realized starkly he'd become football's public enemy number one. Yet retreating meant surrendering permanently to corruption, betrayal, exploitation. One stormy evening, as Pogba prepared revealing his most explosive evidence publicly, an intruder infiltrated his secluded hideout silently. Pogba sensed danger instantly, heart racing violently as footsteps echoed ominously downstairs. He grabbed evidence urgently, heart pounding wildly, desperate, protecting crucial documents. The intruder appeared suddenly, masked face obscured ominously, yet something strangely familiar lingered. Pogba's blood ran cold. The intruder removed his mask slowly, revealing shockingly familiar eyes staring hatefully. Pogba staggered backward, disbelief overwhelming. His trusted friend, former teammate, ally throughout scandal, now standing threateningly, betrayal etched painfully across his face. "You couldn't stop, could you?" his friend sneered bitterly. "You forced this confrontation, Paul. This ends now." Pogba's world shattered instantly. Betrayal struck deeper now. Friend turned enemy dramatically. Their confrontation escalated dangerously, emotions exploding violently. Accusations exchanged heatedly. Pogba pleaded desperately for reason, friendship, mercy. Yet former ally remained ruthlessly unmoved, loyal now only toward hidden masters manipulating football's corrupted industry secretly. Pogba understood painfully clearly betrayal extended deeper. Trust now seemed impossible. Violently, former friend lunged, grabbing crucial evidence desperately. Struggle ensued fiercely, documents scattering chaotically across room. Pogba fought bravely, refusing surrendering truth courageously. but enemy fought ruthlessly, violently determined, silencing Pogba. Desperation surged urgently within Pogba. He fought fiercely, finally overpowering enemy, securing crucial evidence. Yet victory tasted bitter, pain of betrayal overwhelming. Heartbroken yet resolved fiercely, Pogba prepared, immediately releasing evidence publicly, finally dismantling football's sinister empire. Evidence exploded publicly, sparking immediate global outrage. Football fans worldwide rallied urgently behind Pogba, demanding immediate transparency, justice, urgent reforms. Authorities acted swiftly, investigating corruption extensively, arresting powerful figures implicated by Pogba's courageous revelations. Pogba's courage transformed football, ensuring systemic reforms implemented immediately, protecting future generations. Fans recognized Pogba's bravery, praising his courage, exposing sinister truths urgently. Yet despite victories, Pogba remained profoundly scarred emotionally, physically, psychologically by devastating journey courageously undertaken. Betrayals, scandals, ruthless persecutions haunted him permanently. He questioned deeply whether personal cost outweighed professional victories. Pogba considered retirement urgently now, embracing anonymity, finally escaping relentless spotlight. Yet passion for football lingered stubbornly. Despite devastating struggles, courageously endured, football's beauty, emotional power, passion remained profoundly meaningful personally. Pogba recognized football needed healing urgently, demanding individuals courageous enough, confronting corruption publicly. Perhaps future generations deserved safer, honest industry restored ethically. Pogba resolved remaining involved discreetly, advocating for integrity, transparency, fairness urgently required within football governance. Fans debated Pogba's legacy now. Was he hero courageously confronting corruption, or victim ruthlessly persecuted by powerful interests, desperate maintaining sinister empires secretly? Discussions ignited worldwide urgently, forcing fans reconsidering trust placed within football's hidden structures. Pogba's legacy remained permanently complicated, courage admired, yet scandals overshadowing career dramatically. Still, Pogba's courageous journey highlighted urgently critical need transparency, honesty, integrity throughout football governance demanded now by global fans inspired by Pogba's bravery. Resilience courageously confronting football's darkest, sinister revealed throughout scandal. Now, if Pogba's shocking journey captivated you, you absolutely need watching the video appearing urgently on screen now. It reveals another footballer's fate, even more shockingly tragic dramatically. If Pogba's dramatic story shocked you, prepare yourself immediately. Next story's revelations surpass anything imagined previously dramatically. Click immediately before it disappears.